July 30th, 1930, Montevideo, Uruguay. 93,000 people packed inside the Estadio Centenario, barely able to breathe, not wanting to be anywhere else on earth. Uruguay versus Argentina, neighbors across the Rio de la Plata, divided by an ancient rivalry. And on this winter evening, one of them would be crowned champion of the world for the very first time. The score would swing, hearts would break, history would be made. This is the story of the very first FIFA World Cup, the tournament that started everything. Introduction to understand 1930, you have to understand the world it was born into. No television, international travel measured in weeks aboard steamships, a world still scarred by the First World War and sliding toward the Great Depression. Football had already crossed borders. What it lacked was a stage. Jules Rimet, FIFA's French president, built that stage. He dreamed of a tournament belonging entirely to football, bigger than the Olympics, permanent, global. In 1929, FIFA voted Uruguay as host. The Uruguayans had earned it, winning back-to-back Olympic gold in 1924 and 1928. They promised a brand new stadium, the Estadio Centenario, ready for the opening whistle. Europe was reluctant. The journey took weeks. England didn't even enter. Only France, Belgium, Yugoslavia and Romania made the crossing. But South America needed no convincing. 13 nations gathered, small by modern standards, historic by any measure. The tournament for groups, 3 of 3 teams, 1 of 4. Win your group, advance. Lose, go home. No second chances. The balls were leather, heavy when wet. The boots were ankle. The referee's word was absolute law, and yet the football was remarkably alive, attacking, passionate, and bursting with goals. Group 1 belonged to Argentina. They were organized, gifted, and carried a forward almost nobody had heard of, Guillermo Stable. He scored a hat-trick against Mexico on his international debut and never looked back. Chile surprised France to finish second. The tournament's first controversy came when a referee blew the whistle 6 minutes early, with France pressing for an equalizer against Argentina. No recourse, no replay. Argentina went through. Group 2 saw Yugoslavia stun Brazil 2-1, announcing themselves as Europe's strongest side and topping the group comfortably. Brazil, still years away from becoming football's most iconic name, went home early. Group 3 was Uruguay's to command. A tight 1-0 over Peru, then a dominant 4-0 against Romania sent a message to the tournament. The hosts were not here to participate. They were here to win. Group 4 produced a great surprise. The United States, fielding a squad of largely British-born immigrants, won both matches without conceding a single goal. Belgium and Paraguay were sent home. The Americans, astonishingly, were in the semi-finals of the very first World Cup. The semi-finals, Argentina demolished the United States 6-1, leading by that scoreline at halftime. The American dream died emphatically. Stable scored again. Argentina were heading to the final. Uruguay versus Yugoslavia was tighter than the 6-1 scoreline suggested. Yugoslavia competed hard in the opening period, but Uruguay's quality eventually told. Pedro Cea and Hector Castro were outstanding as the hosts pulled away. The final was set. Uruguay versus Argentina, neighbors, rivals, and the last 2 teams standing. The final. Nothing was calm in the days before July 30th. Argentine fans poured across the Rio de la Plata by steamship, waving flags, certain of victory. Montevideo hummed with a quieter, harder energy, the pressure of an entire nation's pride. Even before kickoff, drama. Both teams insisted on using their own ball. Referee John Langenis of Belgium, who had reportedly demanded the right to leave Uruguay by ship within an hour of the final whistle. Fearing the volatile crowd, split the difference. Argentina's ball in the first half, Uruguay's in the second. Remarkably, the results seemed to mirror the halves. Argentina played with the ball they knew and took control. Pablo Dorado gave Uruguay an early lead, but Argentina responded sharply. Carlos Pucel equal. Then Stable struck before halftime to make it 2-1. In the Argentine end of the stadium, celebrations. In the Uruguayan end, not panic, determination. Uruguay came out for the second half transformed. Pedro Cea Santos Iriarte made it 3-2, and then, with minutes remaining, Hector Castro, a man who had lost his right hand in a childhood accident and played his entire career with a partial arm, headed home a 4th. Uruguay for Argentina 2. The final whistle blew. The stadium erupted. The Uruguayan president declared a national holiday. Across the river, the Uruguayan embassy in Buenos Aires was stoned by furious crowds. Jules Rimet descended to the pitch and placed the small golden trophy into the hands of Captain José Nazar. The world's first World Cup champions were crowned. Legacy. The 1930 World Cup was not the most polished tournament. It was not the most technically refined, but it was the first. 13 nations gathered against considerable odds in a half-finished stadium on the other side of the world from most of football's heartlands, and they created something that would outlast every one of them. Uruguay would win again in 1950, stunning Brazil at the Maracana. Argentina's fire burned until 1978, 1986, and 2022, and Jules Rimet's small dream grew into the most watched sporting event in human history. 5 billion viewers, 165 qualifying nations, the whole world stopping every 4 years. All of it began here. On a July afternoon in Montevideo when 13 nations decided the world deserved a World Cup, some beginnings are humble. This one was extraordinary. If you enjoyed this journey through football history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The story of the World Cup is just getting started.